So who likes a good mystery? So a few months back, there was a post made to Facebook that really caught my attention because I'm a huge enthusiast regarding G.I.Joe variations in tracking them and trying to classify them and just figure out what is and is not out there. But the one that somebody had posted was a Hawk from 1986 that did not have a knife on the outside of his left leg. Which you can see right there, version 2 Hawk, there is a knife on the outside of his left leg that is molded in and painted. And at first it seemed pretty easy to dismiss this. I think far too often we dismiss people's posts regarding that because a lot of them are just pertaining to figures that are badly damaged. You know, somebody left something in the attic for too long or out in the sun, and hey, look at this figure. Why is Storm Shadow yellow? Oh, it's damaged. So a lot of times these posts, hey, is this a variation? People just kind of ignore it. But I didn't ignore this one because this guy really seemed to know what he was talking about. So I asked him regarding this, I asked him for more information because by it not having that knife on the left leg, what that meant is that it actually utilized two of the right leg. I'm sure that a lot of people may have just been kind of dismissive of that and said to him, well, you know, somebody's Frankensteined or rebuilt that figure, it was paint wear, and while somebody was putting it back together, they messed up and they used two right legs. And that is sensible enough. I'm not going to say somebody's crazy for thinking that, but where I became intrigued is I asked for a picture of the back of the legs. And the reason why I did that is because this figure has camouflage on the legs. And whenever they would paint the camouflage on the figures, they would actually assemble them and then paint them. So what I knew is that on the back of the legs, you can see how the camouflage does not overlap the back of the knee the same way on both sides. So my theory was that if we turned this figure around, we would be able to tell if it was cobbled together or if this came from the factory that way. And the guy posted it, and indeed, the camouflage matched up. So it appeared that this had come from the factory that way. Well, the mystery just got a lot better because in the process of that, one thing that I'll do whenever I see a variation posted is I will go to all the guidebooks, as many of the same figure that you can look at, that is great. And honestly, one of the biggest sources to go to is also eBay. Anyway, I go onto eBay looking for these figures to see what's out there. Lo and behold, there is a Hawk version 2 with no knife on the outside of the left leg. And it's the same deal. The back of the knees have consistent camouflage. That tells me that this figure had the camouflage painted on there with the legs constructed this way at the factory. And that's really strange because since these things have to go into a mold, and Hawk would be fully, his legs at the very least, would be fully assembled before going in to be painted, I just can't imagine that extra right leg would fit in the left leg spot very easily. I'm not quite sure of the details of how that may have happened, but the fact that this is a different mold really creates a huge mystery for me, wondering, you know, A, how did this happen physically? How at the factory did they make this figure? And B, why did they make it? Because sometimes there are changes in figures that happen because they're issued for a different reason. One of the first things that popped up is, well, maybe that's the mail-away of Hawk version 2. It's not. You can go to eBay, you could go to one of the guides, and actually see the mail-in Hawk version 2 and see that it has a knife on the leg. And I saw several examples of that, and I saw no examples of it without the knife on the leg. So I don't think that it's the mail-in. Maybe it's an international release. I don't know about that either. At this point, a lot of the things have been kind of scattered and changed hands across the world. The one that I got was from the United States. So perhaps it came, overseas prior to it landing in my hands. But the fact that it was so readily available, I literally looked at the one that he had and said, well, I'm going to go on eBay and look for one. There it was, 20 bucks, buy it now, click, next, the next week, I had it in hand. So it just kind of created a huge mystery. And here's where things got especially strange, is that I was talking with my friend Brian. He said, well, the pins are different sizes inside the legs. We should pop some of these open and see what happens. Can you or can you not swap the knees on Hawk? And, well, how about instead of spoiling it and just telling you, why don't we take a look? Because I have a screwdriver here. I have Hawk with a knife here. Let's pop these open and see what happens. Okay, so here we have our leg halves. I've got my right leg and my left leg. And really what we're curious about is to see if the left leg will go on the right and if the right will go on the left. Well, I mean, I guess it's only important if the right goes on the left, not so much left goes on the right, but there's no sense in leaving information out whenever we're looking for clues. So I'm just going to take this right leg off the right thigh, lay that down carefully, and then I have my left thigh here. And what we're talking about here is this pin. There is a knee pin right here in the center that this should be able to fit on. Okay, I should be able to take this right leg with no knife and use it as a left leg on the left knee. Here we go. Nope. It does not fit. If you'll look, there's a thinner part to the post and then a larger part to the post where this thinner part fits on the inner part, on the inner thigh, and that larger part of the post is what gives us friction on the knee so you don't have floppy knees. This will not fit on that. I kind of knew that was going to happen because like I said, Brian had kind of his custom fodder bin, and I think he had like 7 or 8 of them. We popped them all open. It was the same thing on every one that he had. So to make this a little bit more scientific, I got a pair of calipers here. We're just going to measure each pin on each side of the leg. On each leg, I guess I should say. Okay, I'm getting 2.75 millimeters. I don't know why I like that number. It's just such a nice round number that sounds like something that somebody was actually machining and saying, yep, 2.75 millimeters. That's what a left knee is. That's what the pin in a left knee is. The pin in a right knee, I've not checked these yet, so this is new to me. We're not getting as scientific of a number, but it's 2.53 millimeters. So they are significantly different. One will not go on the other. As a matter of fact, if we take this right knee and we take the lower left leg, it will fit. We already know that because this hole is going to be larger. Flops around. So you can't interchange these lower legs. That's what my point is. So this is kind of a big mystery because how did this happen at the factory? We already have the thing to wonder about regarding the paint. How did they paint them and have the camouflage on, on the backs of the knees match? We know that the whole thing had to be sandwiched inside that book mold all at once in order for it to have been painted that way. But at the same time, we also know that that right leg should not fit on that left leg. And my friends who had opened these kept telling me, well, you know what you need to do? You need to open that figure. And I was like, it's my only one. It was easy to get. Pop on eBay, click buy it now. It's there in less than a week. It was You know, it's great. And it's in really good shape, too. I don't want to open it. I'm sorry. But today we're going to open it. We already know from looking at several Hawk version 2 figures that you cannot swap the lower legs between them. They won't fit. The only way that you could do it would be if you drilled out the hole to be a little bit larger. So really what I'm wondering happened in this is it could be two things. I guess I should say it shouldn't just be if it was drilled. It's number one, it could be drilled out, and number two, did they change those pins? So we just measured those pins in order to make sure that these are the exact same diameter as the pins in all the other samples that I've looked at. Okay, so let's do this. Okay. That doesn't necessarily look drilled out to me. Not going to rule out the possibility, though. What I'd really like to do is to post some pictures of this so that everybody can get their own look and give their opinion. But we need to keep in mind that the hole, or I should say that the peg, is actually going to always have a little bit of wear on the inside of the leg. I'm not necessarily seeing that here. There does seem to be some wear to the outside, but I don't necessarily know that it's any more than you would see in a figure that had been played with lightly. You know, this was not a brand new figure. It's not like I cut this off the card, so we can't tell how much this Hawk actually was used in the past. But it's not real powdery in here. And there's a little bit of wear on the inside of that hole, which, to be honest, I would be expecting more if it had been drilled out. I'm kind of thinking that it hadn't. And I should say that I promised a mystery. I did not say anything about being able to provide the answers. I definitely don't necessarily know the answer to this. All I am able to do is to provide a few more clues. And let's check those knee pins. Okay, the left looks to be 2.72, maybe 2.73. Okay, let's check the right knee pin. And that appears to be about 2.51. It's not quite what we had before, but I'd say that those numbers are pretty consistent enough to say that they're within tolerance, and the knee pins are about the same. So this left leg is still a mystery. So that about does it for this dive into a possible variation, I should say, on Hawk version 2. Hawk version 2 being the most iconic version of the character. I thought that this warranted investigation. I hope that you did too. I hope that I didn't bore you too much. I hope that you don't think that I'm too insane. But this is the kind of thing that I do. I have Excel spreadsheets that have information on the dates of things, and now it may be worth me making an Excel spreadsheet on the diameter of knee pins. Probably not. But thanks for tuning in, like and subscribe, and leave us a message. Thanks a lot. Bye.
Thanks for watching this episode of Articulated Points. We hope you enjoyed it, and we'd appreciate it if you would like, share, and subscribe. If you'd like to learn more about some of the toys featured in this episode or want to follow us on social media, links are in the description below this video.